Happy Chanukah. Today is the first day of Chanukah. And today is the day that the Maccabees rested in victory from the enemies by defeating them and celebrated their victory of re-entering the temple and finding the temple desecrated and searching for one little cruse of oil and igniting that cruse of oil, which miraculously burned for 8 days. And the question is, why is today a celebration? After all, there was enough oil for today. The miracle only began tomorrow when the light extended and burned for an additional day than it was naturally capable of doing, and then went to the third day and the fourth day until the 8th day. But today seemingly was a natural occurrence. They found one cruse of oil, they lit it, and it burned. There's nothing miraculous about the oil burning for the first day. Yet we celebrate not 7 days of Chanukah, but we celebrate today, the first day of Chanukah as well. And our rabbis explain that the miracle of today was that despite the fact that the Jews had been persecuted by the Syrian Greeks, despite the fact that they had gone through a dark period where the lights of the menorah were extinguished, they had the courage and the determination and the fortitude and the faith in God to search for that little cruse of oil and to discover it and to ignite it in the midst of darkness. Because the message that the Maccabees send us today is that no matter how bleak and how desperate things look, one little light can expel a great deal of darkness. And so the celebration of the first day of Chanukah is on the actual search for light, the discovery of light, and the kindling of light. And the message is so clear that no matter how dark the world around us is, no matter how confused and troubled people seem and life seems, remember that God gave us the gift of light. And each and every one of us has our inner light, the light of our soul. And as long as we create light, light will always banish darkness. There's a story told of Jews in the concentration camps. And every day they would come back at the end of the day and the Nazis would give them a little hard bread, and there was a big tub of butter. And they were allowed to have a little piece of butter with their bread. And when the tub of butter was empty, the Nazis would laugh at the Jews and say, Jews, go ahead, you can lick the walls of the tub. And these poor starving Jews, like animals, would go and lick the walls of the tub. And the Nazis would laugh at the fact they had degraded the Jews to lower than human, to subhuman. And they would howl and laugh at those poor Jews. Well, there was one Jew, his name was Eliyahu, and he was a very dignified man, and he would never succumb to that kind of behavior. But one night, Eliyahu jumped into the tub and started to lick all the walls of the tub while he brushed against the walls ferociously, trying to gain as much of the butter as he can. Everyone looked at him and said, wow, poor Eliyahu, he's lost his mind. It finally got to him. He broke, he snapped. If Eliyahu, who is such a dignified, honorable person, has succumbed to this, what will happen to us? When they went back into their barracks, Eliyahu started to take off his jacket, and he began to find threads of fabric that were drenched in the buttery oil of the container that he had rubbed himself and brushed himself against, and pulled threads from its fabric. And the other inmates looked at him and said, what are you doing? And he said, don't you realize tonight is the first night of Chanukah? The reason I jumped into the tub was not to lick the butter, but to put as much of that butter onto my garment so I could make wicks for the oil of the menorah. And he began to thread those wicks until he was able to ignite the first candle of the menorah there in the concentration camps. That's the story of Chanukah, the story of Jews who in the darkest moments found the courage to discover light, even in darkness, and to create light, because ultimately light is more powerful than darkness. And if we create light, we know we will be successful in banishing all the darkness from our lives and from the world around us. Happy Chanukah.